When we think about food and cooking in media, where do you go to? Is it the elegance and decadence of the surprisingly bloody NBC drama Hannibal? Is it the Emmy Award-winning hit comedy that uses emotion and stress like a burner and lets that proverbial pot boil with tension in The Bear? Or are you one of those freaks who likes those genre movies, Neon Demon or Raw? Look, it's January. I'm not going to reenact the full dance scene of Saltburn, although I am trying to learn it. I don't have any strong feelings on an upcoming Star Wars or Marvel property. And as I'm writing this, the only thing out in theaters that's new is Night Swim, so yeah, not really interesting. Today I'm going to be talking about food. I mean, you can kind of tell what I'm going to be talking about. It's the most important Pixar movie that's ever been made, and it's very timely that I talk about this. Ladies and gentlemen, Ratatouille. Look, Brad Bird made a movie about a rat controlling a human being to cook fine meals by pulling at his hair and hiding in his chef's hat. We haven't been talking about it enough as a society. Magnificent. To be fair, Ratatouille is probably the film in Pixar's catalog that has the most cultural ubiquity. Sure, Toy Story, Cars, and Up all have a significant cultural impact, but there has been a decade and a half of films and television series referencing Ratatouille specifically. SNL, The Good Place, John Mulaney stand-up specials, hell, the best picture of the year last year, Everything Everywhere All at Once, had an extended sequence that was a parody and homage to this film. And in 2021, in the height of the COVID pandemic, there was an unofficial musical of Ratatouille on TikTok, directed by the person behind the musical 6. It starred Titus Burgess, Adam Lambert, and Wayne Brady, among many others. And of course, this is a Disney property, so what is Disney without theme parks? There is a ride in the Walt Disney World Resort called Remy's Ratatouille Adventure, or as they call it in Disneyland Paris, Remy's Ratatouille Adventure in French. The movie has permeated popular culture so much so that people who have not seen this movie know the basic premise. And damn it, I want more culinary rodents. Ratatouille captured the imagination of America in a way that is rare for films that are not part of a broader franchise, or based on pre-existing IP. Now you could argue that Pixar is a franchise, but at least it is a standalone movie in the studio's catalog. I'm gonna say it, Ratatouille is an iconic film, and I can see why. The themes about an underdog being able to spread joy with his creation to even the most joyless. It's such an uplifting theme. That feeling when you have that not necessarily tasty, but special meal, no matter what the cuisine it is damn near universal. And of course, a rat controlling a human like a puppeteer is pretty perfect. I think this has to say goodbye, Remy. But to look at the themes of the film and the message that Ratatouille is trying to impart on us, we really need to look at the mantra of Remy's idol and imaginary mentor, Chef Gusteau. It is the title of his book, Anyone Can Cook. And that's a great sentiment, right? I mean, I like to cook. I don't know about you, but I always find it difficult when I'm going into uncharted territory, when I'm trying something that I've never tried before. I get overwhelmed by the ingredients and the recipe sometimes. Hell, I get overwhelmed by my spice rack. And this movie, which is about making the highest class of food at one of the best restaurants in the world, having characters over and over say anyone can cook, really does give a hobbyist like myself the notion that, yeah, I could do that. And of course, it's not realistic at all, but you know, of course it's not. It's a kid's movie. It's a Disney Pixar movie. I mean, could you imagine if the restaurant, instead of this plucky little fun, happy family that we get, it's more of the
76 beefs, 34 chickens, okay? 12 French fries.
And I know it is not realistic, but it does give the audience an inspiring message to take away from the film. But is it? The message of the film, that is. I think it's something that we need to examine to really see what the movie's trying to say. So, while going through this movie, I'm going to be looking at 4 of the primary characters and trying to answer the age-old question that is posed by this film. Can anyone can cook? If we're going to talk about the characters of Ratatouille, of course I'm going to have to discuss the rat chef himself. The protagonist, Remy, voiced by Patton Oswalt, is a rat. And he is a chef. What more do I have to say? And he broadly epitomizes the mantra, anyone can cook. One doesn't typically think of rats as culinary geniuses, but he has this drive to create something great like his hero, Gusteau. Instead of staying safe with his colony, he braves into the human world to go into the kitchen to get the good stuff. But it isn't just his desire that makes him such a great chef, nor is it his super rodent ability to be able to read words, human words. Specifically, probably French words. No, it's his almost magical sense of taste and smell. We're shown early on in the film that when he tastes something, it's an almost spiritual experience for him, and he gets a magically intuitive sense of what things will complement each other to create a taste that's not just good, but superior. Just passing by a soup that's been broken by a garbage boy is enough for him to know exactly what needs to go in it to create the talk of Paris. You'd think that this movie is saying that if a rat can cook, anyone can cook. Right? But it's not just his desire that makes him uniquely able to cook. It's in his inherent talent, self-learned and tied to his perfect sense of taste and smell, that allows him to cook. It's like asking if somebody who's perfect pitch can sing. I don't know that answer, but I think they can sing better than I can. But yes, if we're going specifically, Remy can cook, therefore anyone can cook. Maybe. But how do we know that Remy's skills are unique to him? Maybe all rats have this inherent ability to cook, but they just don't have the desire, in which case anyone can cook if you want to cook. Well, in order to determine that, we just need to look at his brother, Emile. This big old butterball really eats anything that he can get his paws on. You know, going through trash and generally just being a rat and doing rat-like things.
What are you eating? I'm the trash man. I start eating garbage.
But there's a moment in the film when Remy tries to have Emile see food his way, and not just devour the food in front of him for fuel, but to taste it, to really get those notes. And sure, he gets a hint of what Remy experiences, but it's negligible at best. He just wants to eat what he can eat. He wants to eat what's there. He wants to eat to survive. Not for pleasure, not for taste. If somebody doesn't have interest in taste, they probably can't cook. Sure, he does his part in the kitchen at the climax of the film like all the other rats when they're cooking the food, but he's just following the orders of the chef. And by the end of the film, he seems to be more the type to eat a fine meal than to cook it. So strike that as Remy can cook and Emile cannot. Already, we have lost the premise of this video. Not anyone can cook, but I must keep going. Because now we come to the character that is the puppet to Remy's puppet-make-do-thingser. Linguini is the bastard child of Gusteau, and while we think that, oh, maybe it's inherent, maybe the ability to cook comes from the line of great chefs, Linguini doesn't know the difference between a bechamel and a béarnaise. I mean, come on. Exactly. He's horribly inept in the kitchen, and the only way he rises through the ranks from lowly garbage boy to head of this restaurant is A, through Remy's puppeteering, and B, nepotism. Despite his passion, his desire, his birthright, Linguini is bereft at talents of culinary arts at the beginning of the film, and he is sadly just as bad at the end of it. You'd think that Linguini could be able to pick up something through muscle memory, or, you know, actual memory, when it comes to cooking something. But nope, he's a blank slate, has no idea what he's doing, and he just does what his hair follicles tell him to do. He only finds his true place in the restaurant industry as a host and a member of the waitstaff, while being the owner. And he's even worse than just talentless. He's a fake. This clown basks in the success of his restaurant that he tripped into owning by luckily being a descendant of this great chef in Paris, despite knowing full well that the only reason why people are really liking these new dishes that he keeps putting out is because he has an innovative genius that is literally working through him. You can't even call his momentary senses of self-doubt as imposter syndrome. He's just an imposter. To have this syndrome, you have to actually create something. But yeah, Linguini can serve a meal, but he sure as hell can't cook one. That's 2 can't cook, 1 can cook. And already, as I said earlier, what are we doing here? Let's get to the final main character that's important in the anyone can cook category, Colette. She is one of the cooks in Gusteau's restaurant. She is assertive, and she is fiercely proud and protective of her status as a woman in a male-dominated industry. In Ratatouille, Colette is the shining example of work and dedication to a craft that makes a chef great. Her knowledge of kitchen protocol teaches Remy and Linguini how to look like they know what they're doing in their workspace. The fact that Skinner, the owner of the restaurant at the beginning of the film, pairs her with Linguini shows that while she may be skilled and competent in her own right, her ability to cook doesn't give her much respect in the kitchen. The uphill battle that she's had to go through to just get to where she is in her career shows that Colette can cook. Even then, her years, possibly decades of experience and the training that she's rigorously gone through pales in comparison to the natural talents of a rodent who controls a hapless lackey from inside of his chef's hat. And we really don't talk enough about the kiss that Remy has Linguini give her to cut off Linguini admitting that he's a fraud. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. They all seem to be into it, but it's weird. So when we chalk it up, the scores of our basic theory of can anyone can cook, 2 people cannot cook to save their life. 1 person can cook after years of hard work and dedication, and we have 1 rat genius who can do anything he wants in a kitchen. So clearly not anyone can cook. But we only need to really go a little bit further in the full quote of Gusteau's. It's not just anyone can cook. It is anyone can cook, but only the fearless can be great. Should have started with that, shouldn't I have? Well, there's a reason why I didn't. It's to pad the runtime. Sure, you can put a bunch of ragu onto overboiled, under-seasoned pasta and say that you cooked. But only the special ones can elevate their ingredients and create something magical. And from what the movie says, it doesn't matter how much you know about a kitchen or how the industry works, or hell, how long you've been cooking in general. All that matters to make you be that great is innate abilities and superior senses of taste and smell. It's low-key Randian objectivism, and it encapsulates her belief that there are exceptional people who do exceptional things because they are exceptional. And these exceptional people should be allowed to do what they do because it is good. It doesn't matter what the health inspector says. Let that rat cook. Look, I love Ratatouille. I don't want to hate on it. I love this movie. But it's about a rat who knows magically how foods will taste together, and one of the main antagonists is the health inspector. He's just checking for rats. He's just doing his job. It discounts the decades of hard work and training real chefs go through in order to be great at their craft. And it does all this through the guise of being egalitarian with its mantra. It says that anyone can cook, but it clearly does not believe that. Like I said earlier, I like to cook. I like to try out new recipes that I've never tried before and see how they turn out. But can I cook? I wouldn't say that. You're never going to see me on Chopped. You're never going to see me on Triple D. You're never going to buy anything that I make in a restaurant. I respect professionals too much to say that I can cook. But if I trained and I learned and I did the work, probably I could. But so could you. So could anyone. So go on. Enjoy the antics of the goofy little rat chef. I know I do, but don't dig too deeply into it. It's fine. So thanks for watching. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell, do all the stuff. Let me know what your favorite food that Remy makes in the movie is. I'll try to make it. I made Ratatouille once, and it did go fine. It went fine. It wasn't as good as it looks, but, nothing ever is.